I would like to explore, through a process of orgasmic visualization, if combining the body, the pleasure from the body, with the power of the mind, being able to visualize a goal at the same time, if that has a positive impact on a person's tendency to creativity. So orgasmic visualization is just what the name says, orgasm plus visualization. Put those things together, what happens? What happens if that becomes a regular practice in someone's life? How does one actually do orgasmic visualization? Well, it's really simple. In the moment of orgasm, you combine it with a visualization of the goal that you want to attain. That's all. There's a principle in neuroscience called Hebb's Law, which says that neurons that fire together wire together. Can the dopamine-producing neurons that fire during orgasm wire together with the neurons used to visualize a desired outcome? Let's start with the clitoris, the inspiration for this project. The clitoris, found on the human female body, has only one purpose: to make a woman feel good. It's not needed for reproduction. It doesn't have any other purpose. It's just pleasure. When I realized this, I was dumbfounded. I thought, that is incredible that pleasure is a priority on my body. But I don't prioritize pleasure in my life. What if I were to take a cue from the way my body is designed and prioritize pleasure in my life? I wonder what would happen. I wonder what impact it would have. Sexual energy is creative energy. Life comes from sexual energy. It's creativity. So what influence would prioritizing pleasure have on a person's tendency toward creativity? Let's start with the clitoris, the inspiration for this project. So the clitoris is an amazing and controversial organ. Its sole purpose is pleasure. And some people might argue, well, the penis is also for pleasure. And that's true, but the penis is a multitasker. Pleasure, reproduction, waste disposal. The clitoris just does one thing. That's it, pleasure. So some details about the clitoris that I find really interesting. 1, it has 8,000 nerve endings, 2 to 3 times the number that the penis has. Did you know that the full anatomy of the clitoris was not even understood until 1998? The majority of the clitoris is actually internal. There's an external part that has long been assumed to be the clitoris, and that's it. But it's so much more than that. The external part that one can see is just the tip of the iceberg. Not only was the full anatomy of the clitoris unknown until very recently, it actually has been removed completely from anatomy textbooks. Can you believe that? Are you familiar with the famous anatomy book called Gray's Anatomy? Well, in the 25th edition, the clitoris was removed completely. What about women and their relationship to pleasure? There was a 3-year-long study of females aged 15 to 20, and it was discovered that they felt entitled to engage in sex, but they did not feel entitled to enjoy it. That is partly what raises the question for me. What if women were to prioritize pleasure in their life? What impact would that have? Creative visualization. The neural networks that are used to visualize doing a thing are the same ones used when you actually do the thing. The way to measure creativity is using a test called the alternate uses test. It's a challenge to come up with as many alternate uses for a common object in a few minutes' time. So for example, you have 4 minutes, how many uses for a brick or a key can you come up with? There was a study done at the Stanford Graduate School of Education in which participants walked on a treadmill before they took this alternate uses test. They walked on a treadmill in a boring, windowless room, and then they did the alternate uses test. Those who walked on the treadmill, they came up with twice as many appropriately novel ideas as the group that just sat before they did the creativity test. So if just walking before taking a creativity test makes a person more creative, what can an orgasm do for someone's creativity? That's my question. What's the methodology for this study? I want to use quantitative and qualitative data. So I will be doing a survey before and after about creativity and pleasure. I will be looking at the results from the alternate uses test, which we will be doing before and after the pleasure practice. So if this study lasts for 3 weeks, do one in beginning of week 1 and the end of week 3. I will ask the participants to keep a journal about the experience and about creativity, and then I'll conduct an interview at the end and ask about the experience, about prioritizing pleasure and the impact it has, not just on the person's creativity and their tendency toward it or their view of it, but also if any other areas of life were impacted by the increased pleasure. So in conclusion, the clitoris has one function and one function only, and that of pleasure. Pleasure is a priority on the female body. So what would happen if female-bodied people prioritize pleasure in their own life? What could that influence?